Watch what you say.
Pretty much.
Can you get to the first one? There you go. Very good. Okay, so I want to talk to you, like Dennis said, about the Highlands in Thailand Water and Sanitation Project. It's an exciting project for me because it improves lives and saves lives. And it also saves, for the most part, lives of children. That's what it's about. But let me tell you a story first. There's a flyer on your table that has a lot more detail than I'm going to give you because I'm limited in time. But let me give you a story. There were two young men that were actually raised in Thailand. They're American. Their parents were medical doctors in the service of missionary work. And so they were actually raised in Thailand. Then at 13, the parents came back to the United States to educate these boys so that they could go on with their life. One of them became an orthopedic surgeon in Fresno. His name's Eric Hansen. He and his wife formed the Lana Foundation, which you'll see in your paperwork in my talk. And it's designed to fund projects in the northern part of Thailand. The other man, Mike Mann, no slip up here, Mike Mann, he went back to Thailand and has lived there for 30 years. He formed another foundation, which is really the boots on the ground. And they've been working at this for some 25 to 30 years and excellent work being done. So let's see here. I'm not changing. There we go. So what's the conditions in northern Thailand? Most of us think of Thailand as a very modern country with all picturesque temples and what have you. But if you go into northern Thailand, it's a different story. It's very remote. There's some 500,000 refugees that live in the highlands of northern Thailand, and they come from various places, including Myanmar, which used to be Burma, China, Laos, Vietnam. The borders of Thailand are all in the trouble areas and easy to cross into northern Thailand. There's limited to no electricity. Oh, I forgot to say they are live in villages, and the villages are small, some like 25 to 250 people. There's limited to no electricity in these villages. There's no indoor plumbing, and water is usually contaminated. And most of the homes are made of bamboo with thatched roofs. Child mortality, here's the killer. Child mortality is 25 to 50% according to what village you're in. That's a disaster. And they often experience food problems, food insecurity. So what does the project do? This is an average. For $14,000, this project will construct a village water system. Actually, they're taking water out of streams and rivers, putting them in a tank. It's filtered so they get clean water. That water is then piped to every one of the huts, every one of the homes for the villagers through the PVC pipe. That blue pipe is a PVC. They construct latrines for every family. Then teach them how to garden. And often, not only vegetables, but they grow coffee. And that coffee is then sold to the Lana Foundation, which I just recently mentioned. And then that foundation fair trades it to Starbucks and some other places. So that's a revenue stream for the villages. And of course, all this has to have the training. So it's hygiene, sanitation. How do you manage this watershed? And how do you maintain your gardens? So for $14,000 on average, this village can be brought up to some modern times. Now, who are the partners? Of course, as Dennis mentioned, it's a district project. It's sponsored actually by the Fig Garden Club in Fresno. The district will have matching grants. Rotary International Foundation will do some global grant matching. The Lana Foundation, which I mentioned. And by the way, the Lana Foundation, they go to Thailand. The people go to Thailand almost every year. So they've been involved in this, and a lot of the doctors' own money has gone into it. So they walk the talk. And the IDDF is based in Thailand, as I mentioned, and most important, The villagers and the village leaders are involved. This is a picture of, these are almost all village members, and they're preparing a site for one of the water tanks. That's what that's about. So what is our goal? Here's what we're trying to accomplish. We want to raise $280,000 to fund some of these village projects. $100,000 needs to come from the clubs. $100,000 will be a district matching grant, and then the foundation kicks in the other $80,000. And what are there going to be the results from this money? 18 to 20 village projects will be completed. Somewhere between 2,500 and 4,000 villagers' life will be improved and affected, and some 400 children's lives are saved. And I can tell you, when you introduce these kind of projects into the village, things change because the children stay alive. They're able to be educated. Also, our organization furnishes some education for the children. Then they can get lives, and their lives get better, and the families change from being very poor into raising their standard of living. Okay, what's the progress so far? We've just really started with the fundraising. And we have we're asking the large clubs to look at a $15,000 donation to the project. We have 2 large clubs already pledged, Fig Garden, and that should be Visalia County Center. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. The Monterey Club can be the first club in Monterey County to make this happen, the first large club. So I'm encouraging you to take a serious look at it. It's not easy to put these projects in. It's very rough territory. Here's a tree being cleared. Now here's some gathering of gravel. Since we need concrete and it's hard to haul it in, they gather the gravel, it's washed, it's sifted, and that's the gravel that gets used with the concrete, right? The villagers are doing that. And here they are transferring the tank water farms into a small 4-wheel drive, because that's the only thing that's going to get to the village. Team project. You're seeing members of the local foundation and village members and volunteers working. By the way, I have other pictures, and that lady with the white hair, she's in a lot of them. She's got a lot of energy, I'm telling you, this woman. What happens? There's a latrine for each home. That's not happened in these villages before. So the sanitation takes place with the water, clean water, and latrine. Here's a lady who's going to have a better life. This woman probably has never seen a latrine or had regular access to clean water. And no, she's not sitting on the latrine, but she's very happy. Okay, I made sure of that. And best of all, the babies quit dying. That's what changes communities. I know this from water projects I'm on before. Clean water starts the process of improving the health and the sanitation and the education and all the lives that come with these kids. So that's the project in a nutshell. And I mentioned to you, on your table, there's some flyers that have more information about the project. And I hope that you'll be able to contribute to our cause.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Well, one more thing, if I could. If the club donates $15,000, it's going to get a plaque in that village, visible to all villagers. So they will know where the money came from. Thanks, Dennis.
All right, Don, thanks. I know there's one question. Just because of time, we're going to move along. But one question we had, is there an opportunity for any of our club members who may want to participate in this to actually go and help?
Yes.
Okay.
There will be opportunities. Right now, the country's locked down like a lot of them. We have a missionary that was supposed to be going from Fresno last week, and the trip got blocked. But a lot of Americans go over to help with the foundation through the Lanta Foundation. So yes, the answer is that you can participate.
All right. Don, thanks so much. And like I said, thank you. Like I said, our